back to 5 Minutes in the Word with Redeemed Girl Ministries, and I'm Marian Ellis. Today's scripture reminds me of one of my, I wouldn't say favorite childhood memories, but definitely a distinct childhood memory. When I was a little girl, we lived in this house that was kind of set up on this hill, and there was always tons of cousins and people and everybody around, and I'm from such a big family that we devised this, I don't know, really creative but kind of mean game where the kids would all gather on top of this hill and they would push each other down the hill until one person was left alone on top of the hill, termed king of the mountain. You know, it's kind of like, I'm going to push you down in order for myself to be exalted. Now, we can see in this the basic elements of sin. You know, me first, I'm number one, it's all about me, which really goes against everything that the Christian faith is based on and everything that our scriptures in this series are talking about. Because right now, if you're following along in our scripture memory or you're just watching these videos, we're looking at the fact that a redeemed girl loves. And so there is no better place to find out what love is, really to examine what godly love looks like, than in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So if you're following along the cards, look at it with me, or look in your scripture at 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4 and 5, which says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrong." So 1 Corinthians 13, as usual, we want to always start with the context, then look at the content, and finally ask, what is this scripture calling me to do? Well, the context of this is actually so important for us to understand why the Apostle Paul writes these verses. So when the Apostle Paul, he's writing this letter to the church at Corinth. Now, what you want to understand is that on Paul's second missionary journey, he has gone around to all of the Greco-Roman world, and he begins to plant churches. He starts by sharing the gospel in the synagogue, and a group of believers would start to gather together. He would begin to disciple them, teach them about Christ, teach them about the Christian life, and then Paul would move on to another location, such as Ephesus or Athens or somewhere like that, and then do the same thing again. Well, in Corinth, he actually stayed there for 18 months. And while he was there, he really invested in these people, and they really became part of his heart. Now, he moves on to the church in Ephesus, and when he's in Ephesus, he learns from his friends at Corinth that they're going crazy back there. Like, they have these divisions, they have these fights and these quarrels, there's all kinds of sexual sin. People are boasting like, oh, I met this guy or this guy. There's all kind of name dropping going on. And I just want you to imagine that king of the mountain mentality. I'm better than you. I can do this. And one of the main things that they were boasting about were their spiritual gifts. And so really this church in some ways pretended to be really spiritual. They pretended to have all of this spiritual power, but what they were lacking was the main thing that God really cares about, which was the fruit of the Spirit. And so I think that's an important word for us, for our generation, because so often we get drawn into like the gifts of the Spirit and having certain talents and abilities and being on certain platforms, but we fail to recognize that what really matters in God's economy is that our lives are transformed to look more and more like His Son, that we look like Jesus. And so there was no one that was more humble and self-giving and loved others to the point of sacrifice than Christ did. And so when we see in this church that they're causing divisions, they're hating each other, they're gossiping, they're slandering, all of those things, Paul addresses this because it's the opposite of the Christ-like love. Now, in this scripture, he uses over and over the word love, which is from the Greek word agape. And that word agape is the God-born love. It's not a natural love like eros, which is a romantic love. It's not a familiar love like that you have for a mother and a child. This is the love that comes from God alone. It's called agape love. And so then Paul in this passage begins to describe what this God-born selfless love actually looks like. And so he says it's patient. The word patient means you're slow to burn. You're not someone that's really quickly going to get mad and get angered over something because you're able to say it's not about me. Love is kind. The word kind is where love actually takes action. It's choosing to see what need does that person have and how can I meet it. Love does not envy. You know what envy is? It's thinking, what's about me? What's about me? And so envy is looking at someone else and saying they have something I don't have, and there's an anger involved in it. Love does not boast. Well, all of our boasting really is that kind of king of the mountain mentality. How can I make myself bigger, better, or more seen? So all of these things that Paul is saying love is not, or love does, is boiled down into love just is not selfish. Love is not about us trying to be number one, but love is about making Christ seen, Christ exalted through how we love and serve other people. I pray as we're all memorizing and meditating on this passage, I know for me, it's going to be convicting. It should be, because all of us have a flesh. That's our old sinful nature, whose number one bent is to be selfish. We all have that. And so as we are being sanctified, which means being made more like Christ, we should become more aware of our flesh, of our selfishness. And that's where we come to Christ and say, I can't do this. Will you love, agape, through me? Will you be kind? Will you help me be humble? Will you love this person? And that's where, as we're connected to Him, we're abiding in the Spirit, where we're receiving God's love for ourselves, that then we can give that agape love to others.